Hi there, Libra. Welcome to your end of June 2023 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. I just got that for another sign. Oh, this is so interesting. I'll tell you why. Because I just did your, I think I did. There was something I just did that had to do with your astrology. What was it? And I don't think it was a monthly forecast. That was so freaky. Gosh, I can't think of it. Okay, well, two cards wanted to come out, so I'm going to let those out. Very interesting. Yeah, I haven't gotten the Tower a long time in this particular deck, so that's very interesting. Major Arcana, baby. We've got several of them. Okay. Interesting. The heart of the matter is the Eight of Swords, and this is a card of those old tapes that run in your head. Swords relate to the air signs, and Libra is one of them for sure. And the air signs relate to your thoughts, and I guess this deck depicts the negative thoughts as black birds. And you can see the person is all tied up, so they're not able to kind of move around. They're not able to do things because they're, very tied into whatever negative thing is happening. And because of that, even if something good comes their way, they're going to have this sense of negative response to it. So, childhood or the past is connected to the fourth house of home and family. And in your particular chart, that's Capricorn. And that's the ruler of that house. So we just had Pluto go back into Capricorn. In July, there's going to be a full moon there at the very beginning of the month, the third of the month. So it can be that something comes to a head, that maybe you have a realization about how you have been programmed and try to be made to think that you're not worthy in some way. Looking at the past position, we have the Six of Cups, and this does deal with the past. This is connected to Cancer. And this is the season. That's where, actually for you, Cancer is is the 10th house of career, but with the Capricorn energy, it certainly will be featured. But the other thing too about the Six of Cups, it can be children. So if you are a Libra woman who has felt this desire to be a mother and that hasn't happened, maybe you haven't found the right partner, look to some kind of programming that you got early on that made you feel like that wasn't going to be in the cards for you, pardon the pun. Also, you could be in a relationship and still not able to conceive. And that might feel like really upsetting if you have, especially if you've kind of put off that area of life to devote yourself to a career or whatnot. And now that you're trying, you can't do it. I would also say that at the very beginning of August, there will be a full moon in your fifth house, which is connected to in part, it can be connected to conceiving children. So you might be right on the edge of being able to make that happen if that's been something that's given you some angst. And also look at those tapes, because sometimes people don't realize how much they're pushing something away energetically because they observed it that kind of negativity towards motherhood. I mean, it could be from hearing it from your own mother or other women, and just kind of developing some kind of negative feeling about it. The higher message is the Chariot card, which is that you see the horses of duality, the black and white horses. They represent the polar opposites of something. And people tend to take sides, and they say, I believe this or I believe that. And of course, I don't have to lecture Libra. You're all about balance, but we would call that, I'm trying to appeal to Libra individuals, but I would characterize it as non-dualism, actually, where it's not one thing versus another, and that's what makes it so special. And if this is connected to, if there's some kind of like issue connected to a past love, because the Six of Cups can be the past, and some of it can be somebody that you were once with. Maybe, and this is soulmate energy, the Six of Cups, but there's some kind of negativity that is being generated by this. And it could be as simple as not feeling deserving of it. Be gentle with yourself, love yourself through any kind of resistance, because if issues from the past come up for you, and again, when I do these readings, sometimes I've had people say, this actually occurred to me a year ago. It's just pretty freaky, because time, is ultimately an illusion, and the past can be the present or the future, and so just look at these things as energetic markers rather than something literal in this moment, in this 2-week period, in other words. What crosses you is the Ten of Cups. This is a card of happily ever after. This is the card of family harmony. So something is disrupting that situation. And I feel like, again, it's because it's funny, because I'm reading that as a reversed card. You know what I mean? So here, in this particular context, I probably, when I drew it, it was upright, but I'm reading it as a challenge. So whatever way that the card is the most challenged, sometimes the upright position is the challenging interpretation. But it's all about, what is coming in between coming between you and having the kind of joyful family life that that you deserve. Now, when I say family life, some people don't want children and they might be living alone. So in that context, it could be anything that is your heart's desire that is being blocked in some way. And I would maintain that it is the Eight of Swords. It is this idea of believing negative messages that were given to you. And it's very hard to unpack these things because they can be so all pervasive. Some people were, excessively criticized growing up, or they experienced abuse on a regular basis, which led them to feel worthless. So this kind of trauma isn't something that you just snap your fingers and you get over. But first, you have to be willing to look at your shadow self, the part of you that feels rage and feels like these unpleasant emotions that you might feel guilty about. It's natural to be angry. I mean, that's part of the human experience. Obviously, we don't want to be chronically angry because it's not good for us and it's not good for the world, but it is definitely normal, especially under certain circumstances, to be angry about things. So look at those things and how you're actually holding yourself back. What's coming in is the King of Cups. I got this for another sign and I said, look at that pendant, the fish. So this could be a Pisces individual, especially a mature Pisces. But also this card represents the counselor. So you may be going into therapy or re-entering therapy, and you may not even know why, but it might have something to do with Pluto going back into Capricorn. But it can be a spiritual teacher. Maybe you're studying some kind of spiritual practice, and this is your teacher. The point is, or what we would take away from that, is someone who is trying to heal, that isn't just staying there stagnant, but really is trying to make an attempt to heal from whatever it is that they've been facing, dealing with. The outcome, one card is the Magician, which means being a conscious co-creator. What does that mean? It means that you're no longer living this belief that life is happening to you. You actually believe that you can make some, that you can actually shape your life to some degree. Not totally, obviously, because there are other factors or other people that we can't control. So we can't ever say, oh yeah, I can totally do all these things. But we have a lot more power than we think we do. And the other card is the Tower. In a moment's time, you can release something. This can be a card of, to me, this is connected to eclipse energy. Oh yeah, that's right. Well, you had a solar eclipse in the house of relationships back in April. So, even though it was a solar eclipse and a new moon energy, maybe it still spelled out some sort of change in a primary relationship. And that may have felt like it set off something within yourself that's connected to the Eight of Swords, like you started going into those old tapes. But what you have to remember is that any kind of action by another person has no bearing on you personally. Even if a person is acting up, and I don't think a lot of Libra people are like this, that they are unkind to a partner. But even in those cases, it's still that person's decision to do that, and that was their assessment that that person was being unkind. In some cases, it may not really be that way from an objective point of view. So nothing, there is something from that book, The Four Agreements, that says not to take anything personally, because people take action based on their own conditioning. And, you don't need to make that yours just because they're doing it. But on the other hand, it's interesting with the Tower card. I think those two cards together, both major arcana cards, show that we are conscious co-creators, but we also have to operate within the realm of accepting that things can happen regardless. And if we're cool with that, if we're not freaked out by that possibility, then that's a great thing. But sometimes people get freaked out and they're like, oh my God, they really don't feel that they're conscious co-creators, in other words. They feel like they are at the mercy of life. And so it's very interesting that those two cards showed up together. Okay, that's what I have for you, Libra. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.